Hello and welcome. I am Idowu Fabajo. Tonight, Ogun State government intensifies surveillance in border areas to prevent Ebola scourge. Federal government introduces biometric registration to address farmers' herdsmen crisis. Burundians vote in referendum to extend president's rule till 2034. Every success is usually an admission ticket to a new set of decisions.
Hello and welcome tonight. On the business news, Nigeria's crude oil hits $80 per barrel for the first time since 2014. These and many more when I return.
And tonight on Sport News, British Museum turns Salah's record-breaking boot to exhibits. This and more sporting stories later on the news. My name is Moses Ojewumi.
And let's begin with Ogun State Governor Senator Ibikunle Amosun, who has inaugurated the State Coordinating Committee of the APC Common Legislative and Policy Frameworks, in furtherance to the Progressive Governors Forum resolve to ensure accelerated and uniform development in all APC governed states in Nigeria. Inaugurating the committee in Abeokuta, Governor Amosun observed that lack of uniformity and divergent government policies have been largely responsible for the challenges in the core social sectors like education, health, and poverty eradication, adding that the APC governors were collaborating to ensure coherent programs and policies to tackle the challenges. Governor Amosun, who was represented by the Secretary to the State Government, Barrister Taiwo Adeoluwa, said the committee is charged with the responsibility of driving the legislative process for the passage of the prototype bills on Security Trust Fund, compulsory free universal basic education, and the administration collection of revenues into laws.
It is my privilege and responsibility to inaugurate the Ogun State Coordinating Committee for the implementation of the APC Common Legislative and Policy Framework. The objective of all of this is to ensure that our tickets, our party, and the programs we execute in all our 27 states remain relevant for the progress of our people.
The committee members to work hard to justify the confidence reposed in them. The 7-man committee has the Secretary to the State Government, Barrister Taiwo Adeoluwa, as chairman and Barrister Bumi Oyefeso as secretary. Other members are Barrister Omolayo Olorunwo, Mr. Bayo Adeyemi, Mrs. Shola Ogunpola Akpampa, Dr. Babafemi Adenuga, and Mr. Shegun Olauton. When a public servant demonstrates passion, innovation, and brings about ideas that will take Ogun State to heights that support the mission to rebuild agenda of government, such a worker deserves to be adequately rewarded. These were the words of the State Head of Service, Mr. Abayomi Shobande, at the 2018 retreat of the Ministry of Commerce and Industry. Tunde Olaniro reports that the Commissioner for Commerce and Industry also urged members of staff to think out of the box with fresh ideas at the program. His report.
Directors, deputy directors, zonal heads, and other key officers in the Ogun State Ministry of Commerce and Industry. The objectives of this gathering are to review internally generated revenue, staff development, investment drive, evaluate the activities of the ministry in previous years, set goals for the next year, and encourage interaction among staff of the ministry.
Then our budget size too. The budget size of the ministry increased from about 500 million in 2011 to 1.1 billion in 2018. That is recognition for the ministry. The revenue target too. Our revenue target increased. In 2011, the revenue target for the ministry was 190 million. But by 2018, Your revenue target is 4 billion.
The commissioner in the ministry, Otumba Bimbola Ashiru, urges the staff to always bring fresh ideas to bear on their operations.
That no plan effectively and strategically will need to think outside the box by doing things differently. I think I agree with that, because we must think outside the box. We must make the best out of the bad situation. That's the only way we can progress in this ministry. But we must remain unwavering in all our actions and intentions. Also, we must mentor ourselves. I think what I've noticed in the ministry is that we don't have mentees.
The head of service, Mr. Bayomi Shobande, stresses that the current administration in Ogun State is generous in rewarding excellence and good work. Hence, workers in the ministry should contribute their quota.
That every support that you can ever require, you always have it. If you have a good idea, you demonstrate the passion, you will receive support at the highest level of this government. If it needs the personal intervention of Excellency himself, he'll be there with you.
The Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Budget and Planning, identifies ways by which the state is losing revenue.
The state government relies heavily on three sources of funds or three sources for its revenues, namely statutory allocation, loans and grants, internally generated revenue. And I want to say it without mentioning that apart from Ogun State and a few other states that have drastically reduced reliance on statutory allocation, some other states cannot do without statutory allocation. That is money coming from Abuja.
Technical sessions follow where issues bordering on smooth operation of the ministry and the state were discussed. Tunde Olaniro, OGTV News.
In an attempt to prevent the outbreak of Ebola scourge, Ogun State government, through the Ministry of Education, through the Ministry of Health, and intensified its surveillance around border communities to prevent the incidence of the menace. The State Commissioner for Health, Dr. Babatunde Ipaye, made this known while fielding questions from newsmen during the general meeting of the National Association of Government General Medical and Dental Practitioners, Ogun State Chapter, held at the NMA House in Abeokuta.
Make sure that we prepare facilities for isolation, training and retraining of health workers, and then make sure that we preposition the necessary gadgets that will support barrier nursing. The second is that we have intensified surveillance so that any suspected cases can be identified and isolated as soon as possible before they become public health danger.
Ipaye therefore charged members of the body on improved efficiency resource management, adding that the government structure for health must be reviewed in order to have competent people who can deliver on productivity. The commissioner stressed that there is need to improve efficiency in the way available resources are managed, noting that governance structure for health needs to be reviewed so that managers of the resources are qualified people who have managerial skills and competency to deliver on productivity. Chairman of the body, Ogun State Chapter, Dr. Femi Odusote, posited that the program was a biannual event where health workers gathered for reunion, solve each other's challenges, and of course assist government in area of health delivery. As part of its effort at ensuring a clean and healthy environment, Ogun State House of Assembly has passed a resolution calling on the state government to provide waste stations and dump sites in each of the local government areas in the state for proper waste management and control. The passage of the resolution followed a motion moved by member representing Obafemi Owode State Constituency, Honorable Tunde Sanusi, supported by the whole House through a vice voting during a plenary presided by the Speaker, Suraj Ishola Adekunbi. House of Assembly correspondent Kunle Bikunle's report is presented in this package.
Opening debate On the motion, the sponsor, Honorable Tunde Sanusi, explained the need for the creation of the transfer loading station and additional dump sites across 20 local government councils and 37 local council development areas, adding that he observed increased influx of manufacturing establishments brought about by the ongoing massive infrastructure development in the state.
Number one, if we have a loading transfer station, it will help majority of the industries and the people in a particular environment at least to dump their waste instead of creating illegal dump sites, which we can find in some metropolitan areas in Ogun State.
Corroborating the sponsor submission, members stressed the need for waste being generated from industries and homes across the state be effectively managed, admonishing residents to desist from indiscriminate dumping of refuse in waterways to avoid flooding.
If we can maybe have all those transfer stations and dump sites, there is what we call waste to energy. That can as well generate fund for the state.
We have to look extensively at some sort of a PPP arrangement, especially between the commercial waste movers and the LCDs.
If government can intervene in providing waste transfer station and dump sites for local governments, then it will be a more coordinated effort. Dump sites, like I said, will encourage recycling, and it will also be a source of revenue for local governments.
Those who support the motion say aye. Those against, yes, aye.
Meanwhile, the Ogun State House of Assembly has lauded the State Barbers Association, Ijebu chapter, led by Mr. Anthony Ayodele, for partnering with political leaders in creating job opportunities for members. Speaker Suraj Shaladekumbi gave the commendation while playing host to the executive members of the association with a caution that they should avoid forcing people to join the association, but rather make the association a toast of prospective members.
Another batch of beneficiaries will be presented with certificates of occupancy and other land title documents under the Homeowners Charter program conceived by the administration of Senator Ibikunle Amosun on Friday, 18th May 2018. Venue is Arcade Ground, Okemoson, Abeokuta at 9 in the morning. A statement by the Special Advisor and Director General, Bureau of Lands and Survey, B. Ismail, has it that the State Commissioner for Earth, Dr. Babatunde Baye, will perform the presentation. Increasing unemployment, depression and peer group pressure have been identified as major causes of youth restiveness in Nigeria. United Nations Youth Ambassador to Switzerland, Mrs. Bola Oshibodu Adetula, stated this while speaking at a youth summit in Ilisha, tagged Ikenne Local Government Youth Summit. Mrs. Adetula also advised youth to avoid dangerous drugs in order not to jeopardize their future. Kola Wole Osho covered the event, and his report is presented in this package.
And in them are the next generation of leaders in any society. The well-being of youths, therefore, has implications on their own lives as well as the societies they will build and maintain. It's against this background that Ikenne Local Government Youths organized a youth summit tagged Ikenne Local Government Youth Summit with the theme Reorientating and Positioning Our Youth Leadership Post. Speaking on the theme of the summit, guest speaker, who is also United Nations Youth Ambassador, Switzerland, Mrs. Bola Oshibodu Adetula, points to why youths like to abuse drugs while encouraging the National Assembly to review laws guiding the National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control, NAFDAC, and the Nigerian Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA.
There is a problem at hand. COVID is not under international control, but we will not wait until WHO takes action. We have to take action.
Dr. Mrs. Augusta Olare, Director Student Support, Babcock University, and Prince Adeyemi Adefulu are co-speakers. They dwell on youth engagement and mobilization.
What we need as young people is not just going for post, but leadership. Leadership means that wherever you are leading somebody.
Our youth, the future is in your hands. Make sure that in your little way, you are making positive contribution.
There were goodwill messages from the representatives of Neuropsychiatric Hospital Aro Abeokuta, the Nigerian Police, Nigerian Drug Law Enforcement Agency NDLEA, and some other personalities who graced the event. Architect Owoduni Opayemi also adds his voice to how youths could positively get involved in politics.
Has shown that there is room for youth to be involved in the political process. Register to vote.
Chairman of Education, Honorable Bukola Buraimo, and the convener of the event, Honorable Abiodu Oshibodu, equally shed more light on the theme of the summit.
For youth to be able to achieve this leadership that they were clamoring for, first of all, they have to be in the political party. Now start looking for a position in the political party and be honest with the leadership of the political party.
Issues I've identified, I thought we should have a forum for discussing them, for processing them, so that government can start to take cognizance of this issue.
Youths were, however, urged at the summit to put themselves in a vantage position for the repositioning of Nigeria in all scheme of things and as the true giants of the continent.
Still ahead, President Buhari promises to ensure stability in West Africa. More news and reports after this timeout.
Metro Park is an iconic and ingeniously conceived development on 55 hectares of land comprising of 100 units of terrace houses, 100 units of fully detached 3-bedroom apartments, 100 units of 1, 2 and 3-bedroom semi-detached houses, 600 square meters service plots for sale, game park, swimming pool, central water system, etc. Metro Park is located in the suburbs adjacent OGTV housing estate and about 10 minutes drive from the governor's office. At Metro Park Estate, we offer a safe, secure and serene environment for family living with an impeccable finishing standard with exceptional facilities.
This is Metro Park Estate, Ajibo Road, Abeokuta. I'm a beneficiary of this housing estate. You too can become part of it.
For inquiries, call. Now selling Metro Park, Abeokuta.
It's up to us. All of us. The safety of our communities is in our hands. The police need our help and support. Boko Haram threatens our lives, our future, our country. But Nigeria belongs to us. God has blessed us with this rich land. Let us protect her as we protect each other. Report any criminal activity. Call these numbers. Your call is anonymous, and it is vitally important. Your support so far has been critical. Continuing it will make all the difference between a Nigeria of the fearful and a Nigeria of the free. Protect each other, for we are not terrorists. We are Nigerians. A message from the State Security Service.
Thank you for joining us. The National Economic Council, NEC, has directed recovering of 526 billion naira and $21 billion under remittance to Federation account by government's revenue-generating agencies. Gombe State Governor Ibrahim Dankabo briefed State House correspondents at the end of the National Economic Council meeting chaired by Vice President Yemi Osinbajo at the Presidential Villa, Abuja. He said KPMC presented the report of the revenue-generating agencies, concluding that the sum of 526 billion naira and $21 billion was underpaid to the Federation Account Ad Hoc Committee.
including a resolution to identify instances where there appears to be infringements and forward such to the Attorney General of the Federation and the Legal Committee of the National Economic Council for further action. Council resolved to pursue strengthening of the NNPC governance structure to prevent further reoccurrence of such gross remittance by NNPC and other revenue-generating agencies.
According to him, a subcommittee would be set up to look into the details of the infringement in order to determine those that would be prosecuted by the Attorney General. While explaining that the audit reports covered 2010 to June 2015, he said that the audit will be extended to 2018. President Muhammadu Buhari has called on leaders of the All Progressives Congress (APC) to build a united front that can propel the governing party to victory in the forthcoming governorship election in Ekiti State. Addressing the Southwest leaders of the party, the president emphasized that everything must be done towards ensuring that this time around the will of the people is not subverted. It was an interactive dinner between President Muhammadu Buhari and the Southwest APC leaders, as well as stakeholders, aimed at charting the best way forward for the party as the governorship election for Ekiti State draws near. In attendance were Vice President Yemi Osinbajo, members of the National Working Committee of the party, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, Chief Bisi Akande, Southwest governors of the APC, the governorship candidate, as well as the aspirants. President Muhammadu Buhari, who described the election as crucial, noted that he called the anti-pankies that attended the 2014 gubernatorial election in Ekiti State, recalling the first-hand account from some of the dramatis personnel in the unfortunate saga.
To ensure we do not allow any subversion of the will of the people this time around. Now that we have a candidate, all hands must be on deck to achieve positive results. I want to appeal to all of you to see this as a collective mission to restore equity and promote development.
The president, who commended the candidate Dr. Fayemi for reaching out to his co-contestants with the view to working together, is worried that the values of forthrightness, candor, and integrity Ekiti people are known for seem to have been lost, insisting the content of knowledge must be returned to its pride of place in the Committee of States.
Elections. On my part, let me assure you that you can count on my support. But charity must begin at home. I urge Ekiti leaders and the leaders from the Southwest to take this assignment seriously. Let us return to the field to work hard and deliver victory to our great party.
The session continued behind closed doors where questions, observations, and suggestions were taken. Former interim chairman of the party, Chief Bisi Akande, speaks on his impression.
APC, and it belongs to the progressive from the beginning, but unfortunately it slipped. This time we are all going to be behind our party to bring Ekiti back, to progress.
Ekiti governorship election comes up on the 14th of July this year. President Muhammadu Buhari on Thursday promised that his administration will continue to work with member countries of the Economic Community of West African States to ensure stability in the sub-region. He said the collaboration became necessary as cross-border crimes pose more challenges to people and governments in the sub-region. According to a statement by his special advisor on media and publicity, Mr. Femi Adesina, the president spoke while receiving the letter of credence from the ambassador of Guinea-Bissau, Mr. Eric Da Silva, at the presidential villa, Abuja. Buhari said the relationship between Nigeria and Guinea-Bissau had always been healthy, noting as the country regains its stability, there would be more room for improvement. Minister of Information and Culture Lai Mohammed says the recent spate of clashes between farmers and herdsmen should not be attributed to ethnic and religious reasons, but demographic, environmental, social and economic dynamic of the time. The minister stated this at a town hall meeting on farmers herdsmen clashes in Abuja. Other ministers and concerned
to interrogation to the real causes of the incessant clashes that have captured national and international attention and turned former neighbors and friends to bitter enemies, so that together we can help to evolve a lasting solution to this crisis.
Other ministers and concerned bodies at the meeting emphasized on the need for reorientation at the grassroots, as well as educational opportunities for children of both farmers and herders. Meanwhile, the federal government has introduced the use of biometric registration to monitor the movement of people, goods, and livestock into the country. The Minister of Interior, Abdurrahman Dambazao, said this in Abuja at a special town hall meeting to address farmers' herdsmen crisis. He said the move had become necessary as a result of the ECOWAS Free Movement Treaty which Nigeria is a signatory. The minister recalled that a conference was recently organized within the ECOWAS sub-region to review ECOWAS protocol on the free movement of goods, humans and livestock. Dambazao appealed to the media and citizens to look at the crisis between farmers and herdsmen as a national issue and stop attaching sentiment into the issue. On the proliferation of light weapons, the minister said that the Nigerian police was currently asking people to openly declare their arms. He said that at the expiration of the grace period, the police would condone suspected areas and forcefully get the arms out and prosecute those illegally handling them. The Minister of State for Environment, Alhaji Ibrahim Jibril, called on the state governments to work together in addressing the crisis. He stressed the importance of adequate information and intelligence gathering in addressing the clashes. Alhaji Jibril called on non-governmental organizations and religious organizations to also assist the government in information gathering to tackle the menace. The federal government has approved the inclusion of 1% Consolidated Revenue Fund (CRF) in the budget for basic healthcare provision. Speaking with OGTV News shortly after the 2018 budget was passed by the National Assembly, the Chairman Senate Committee on Health, Senator Larry Tejuosho, said his committee had worked assiduously to ensure that 1% CRF is included in the 2018 budget. He added that this would go a long way to improve healthcare delivery in the country.
The government of Nigeria now will have some money set aside to pay for the health issues of about 3,000 Nigerians in each local government. Once they come to the local government primary health center, with this fund, the primary health centers, they will have enough money to maintain the center, enough money to pay the staff of that center. So they will be on their own like a private sector health institution. So all this issue of general strike of everybody won't pertain to them because they are getting their money every month anyway. Okay, so imagine 3,000 patients or Nigerians that are being catered for every month by a fixed amount. And they will have also enough money to be able to have enough drugs, enough money to be able to pay the nurses. In addition to that, again, we have part of the fund to be used to revitalize the primary health centers itself. That is also available there. Part of the money is also to stock the primary health centers with vaccines for our children.
Federal constituency in Ogun State has reacted to the approval for the reconstruction of Lagos Ota, Ifo and Abeokuta dual carriageway, which was a motion moved by him in May 2016.
So, about budget and the components, the benefits, the dividend, the nation, and as a whole that we have to derive from. My advice simply to the executive is to ensure that the budget is fully implemented and when necessary, most of the critical projects we have at hand that are ongoing, see how best we are going to complete them. Most especially, if I want to mince words, the project I have pursued so much, so well, very dear in my heart. That's the Songo A4 Wasimi Abeokuta Expressway. That road is approved for construction.
It would be recalled that lawmakers on Wednesday during plenary passed a total sum of 9.1 trillion naira, an increase of 508 billion naira from the 8.61 trillion naira originally presented by President Muhammadu Buhari. Enlightenment and sensitization in form of lectures and seminars are required to encourage employees in the mineral and mining sector to key into the agenda of unionism. This was the reason for the first annual lecture of Nigerian Union of Mines Workers, Ogun State Council, held at the Council Secretariat and in Lese, Abeokuta, Ogun State. Our reporter Elizabeth Esson attended the event. Our report.
The trade union was founded in the industrial sector to fight for better wages, reasonable working hours and safer working conditions, as well as for protection of the rights and interests of members. Welcoming members and guests to the first annual lecture of the Nigerian Union of Mines Workers Ogun State Council, Chairman Comrade Abiola Fasiu Alao says that the lecture was organized to educate members and general public on how mines workers can do their jobs better within legitimately established framework.
It wasn't a small land before we got here. These unions being known in the state faced a number of challenges before it gradually finding its feet, even among our members. We all know change is constant, but very difficult sometimes to be accepted as a people. But with God, all things are possible.
In his paper titled The Role of Unionism in Nation Building, the guest lecturer, Comrade Akim Ambali, noted that the role of labor union in the overall growth and development of the country cannot be overemphasized. In their different papers, speakers at the annual lecture dwell extensively on the need for members of Nigerian Union of Mines Workers to ensure unity within the union, saying this will bring about the success envisaged by the union.
Abandon, but it was glorious. The present administration has always around in the mining industry.
Let me also add that unionism should not be seen to fight government, but rather a means of establishing a working partnership with governments and for the betterment of your members. On the part of the Nigerian Union of Mines Workers, National Secretariat, government you are welcome, and we will come to the country to continue on this cooperation.
Any society that is desirous of development or progress must not joke with the labor of that society.
The Nigerian Union of Mines Workers Ogun State Council, an affiliate of the Nigerian Labour Congress, was established 6 years ago to provide legal and other assistance when necessary to both members and staff of the union in matters pertaining to lawful performance on their official duties. Elizabeth Esson, OGTV News.
Communications in whatever mode is critical to making relationship with other people into society cordial, thereby making transfer of societal norms, beliefs and ideas more efficient. This forms the general consensus of those who spoke with OGTV News on World Telecommunications and Information Society Day. Peter Fabajo puts their views together in these special reports.
World Telecommunications and Information Society Day, which is close in vision with the International Telegraph Union, had this committee formed in 1865 to support the emerging communication methods of the modern age. The invention of telephone system in 1876, the launch of the first satellite in 1957, and ultimately the birth of the internet in the early 60s were seen as great improvements to primitive ways of communication.
Communication depicts everything that has to do about the life of human being and even non-human beings. And of course, life ceases to exist in as much communication is no more involved again. Communication is the best solution to solving issues. It is very central to existence of human life.
There was a time we spoke about oral media, the gong, the drum, all kinds of ways that were devised to get information across to the people. It's improved over time.
The dynamic evolution of communication system through correspondence, print and electronic media are regarded as important elements in human lives, as was keenly highlighted as information through improved technology travels far across the world.
In years past, commission feedbacks have been delayed due to lower technology, but today digital has improved, technology has improved, digital whereby instant communication get instant feedback.
Play a societal role in ensuring that people are well informed. People keep getting information all over the world.
They add that improved modern technological system through the key components and applications being used to help people better their lives have equally been contributing to the economic growth and all-round development of all nations the world over.
Even in the area of the economy, the ICT has actually transformed the whole process. It has reduced cost, it has reduced unnecessary human capital that is wasted, it has reduced, even time wastage has been reduced.
The robots can do at least 30% of it or 50% of it, but over the years it has been found out that human beings are human beings, and human beings will continue to be needed in every facet of our national life.
Enabling the positive use of artificial intelligence for all stands as a theme for year 2018 World Telecommunication and Information Society Day, and it focuses on the potentials of artificial intelligence towards accelerating the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. Peter Fabajo, OGTV News.
It's time for business news.
You're welcome to the business segment of the news. The Federal Executive Council has approved $995 million and 15.45 billion naira for 2 roads. Minister of Power, Works and Housing, Babatunde Fashola, briefed State House correspondents at the end of the meeting presided over by President Muhammadu Buhari. With him were Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, Minister of Transportation, Rotimi Amechi, and Minister of Water Resources, Suleiman Adamu. Also, Finance Minister, Mrs. Kemi Adeosun, said FEC gave approval to obtain a French Development Agency credit of $60 million for the scaling up of the second Rural Access and Mobility Project, RAM2, to include Imo State. She recalled that the National Assembly had in 2010 external borrowing plan of the federal government approved AFD's credit facility of $60 million to implement ramp in Imo State. The Pension Transitional Arrangements Directorate has so far recovered 16 billion naira of legacy pension funds and assets from insurance underwriters. The Executive Secretary, PTAD, Sharon Ikeazo, said this in Abuja during a media briefing on the activities of the agency. The amount is inherited pension liabilities of all federal government parastatals under the definite pension scheme without the commensurate asset from the insurance underwriters and boards of trustees who were previously responsible for pension payments to this group of retirees. The PTAD boss said that out of the 16 billion naira, the sum of 6.9 billion naira was the cash component domicile in the Central Bank of Nigeria, while the balance of 9.1 billion naira was in form of properties that had been sent to the Ministry of Works for valuation. Oil price hits $80 per barrel on Thursday for the first time since November 2014 on concern that Iranian export could fall due to renewed U.S. sanction and reduced supply in an already tightening market. Brent crude future reached intraday high of $80.18, while U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude future were up 57 cents at $72.06 per barrel, also their highest since November 2014. President Donald Trump's decision this month to withdraw the United States from an international crude nuclear deal with Iran and revive sanctions that could limit crude export from OPEC's third largest producer has given strong tailwind to oil prices. France Total on Wednesday warned it might abandon a multi-billion-dollar gas project in Iran if it could not secure a waiver from United States sanction, casting future doubt on European-led efforts to salvage the nuclear deal. The International Energy Agency said global oil demand would average 99.2 million barrels per day in 2018, although U.S. banks said consumption would cross 100 million barrels per day this summer. The federal government has signed a contract agreement of $6.65 billion on the Ibadan-Kaduna railway segment of Lagos-Kano rail line with the China Civil Engineering Corporation (CCECC). Addressing journalists shortly after signing the contract, the Minister of Transportation Rotimi Amechi said that the contract agreement is for the implementation of Addendum Number 4 Ibadan-Kaduna segments of the Lagos-Kano rail line at the cost of $6.68 billion. The minister added that the completion time of the contract should be between 2 to 3 years, depending on the availability of funds. Amechi promised that the ministry should be able to provide its counterpart funding between this year and next year budget provision. Ibadan-Kaduna standard gauge line will pass through Osogbo-Ilorin-Minna to Kaduna with a single trace branch line from Osogbo to Ado-Ekiti. This contract is in fulfillment of the federal government's plan to complete the Lagos-Kano Rail Modernization Project, which was started in 2006 and broken into segments for implementation in 2008. The segmentation phase commenced in Abuja-Kaduna Rail Line in 2011, which was completed and commissioned into commercial operation by President Muhammadu Buhari in 2016. That's all we have for you on the business segment of the news. Thanks for watching.
Voted on constitution reforms that is passed will shore up the power of President Pierre Nkurunziza and enable him to rule until 2034. Pierre Nkurunziza, president of Burundi, police, soldiers and armored vehicles were out in full force for the referendum, which comes 3 years after Nkurunziza sought a controversial third term, triggering a political crisis that has killed 1,200 and forced 400,000 from their homes. Hundreds of people lined up for the vote, in which they are merely asked to decide yes or no in the constitutional referendum of May 2018, with no question posed on the ballot. Long lines have been seen at the opening of polling station in Bujumbura. Burundian citizens were impatient to go and vote. Presidential spokesman Willy Unyamituze. The Ebola outbreak in DR Congo has spread from the countryside into a city, prompting fears that the disease will be increasingly hard to control. Health Minister Oli Ilunga Kalinga confirmed the case in Umbang, Dakar, a city of 1 million people about 130 kilometers 80 miles from the area where the first cases were confirmed earlier this month. The city is a major transportation hub with routes to the capital, Kinshasa. 44 people have been infected and 23 people are known to have died. Ebola is a serious infectious illness that causes internal bleeding and often proves fatal. It can spread rapidly through contact with small amounts of bodily fluid, and its early flu-like symptoms are not always obvious. The 2014 to 2016 West Africa outbreak, which killed 11,300 people, was particularly deadly because it spread to the capital cities of Guinea, Sierra Leone, and Liberia. Senior World Health Organization WHO official Peter Salama said the spread of Mbadaka meant there was the potential for an explosive increase in cases. Relatives of political prisoners held in one of Venezuela's most notorious prisons say the inmates have staged an uprising. Inmates held at El Helicoide, the headquarters of Venezuela's secret service, say they took over part of its cell blocks. They say they did so after a political prisoner was beaten. More than 300 political prisoners are being held in Venezuela, according to pressure group Foro Penal. Up next, Sport News with Moses Ojewumi.
It's nice to have you join on Sport News, starting from the world number 6 draft Martin Del Potro suffered an injury scare before the French Open, retiring match with David Goffin. Belgium's Goffin was leading 6-2, 4-5 when Del Potro had just points to groin injury. World number 1 Rafael Nadal coasting to the last 8 with a 6-4, 6-1 win over Canadian teenager Denis Shapovalov. Croatian 4th seed Marin Cilic won 6-3, 6-4 against Francis Benoit Paire. The French Open, the second Grand Slam of the year, begins on 27 May at Roland Garros in Paris. And now to football stories. Liverpool forward Mohamed Salah will be honoured with his own exhibit in the British Museum's Egyptian collection. The Egypt international has impressed this season, winning the Premier League Golden Boot with a record of 32 goals. His boot will go on display in the run-up to Liverpool's Champions League final match against Real Madrid. The boots tell a story of a modern Egyptian icon performing in the UK with a truly global impact, said exhibit keeper Neil Spencer. Salah also played a key role in Egypt's qualification for the World Cup and is set to feature in Russia this summer. Meanwhile, Manchester United earned slightly more money than champions Manchester City from the Premier League last season, despite City's record-breaking campaign. United, who finished second, received £149.77 million, £328,491 more than City.
United were paid more because 2 more of their matches were shown live in the UK, which meant their facilities fee was £2.26 million higher. In total, Premier League clubs received £2.42 billion, £2.1 million than last season. Jose Mourinho's United were shown live on UK television 28 times this season, the same number as Liverpool and Arsenal, with City screened 26 times. City received £38.63 billion for winning the league, £1.9 million more than second-placed United. Arsenal are intending to speak to club legend Thierry Henry about the vacant managerial position at the Emirates early next week. The club are undertaking an extensive process to determine Arsene Wenger's replacement at the helm, following the Frenchman's departure after 22 years in charge, though the leading candidate for the position is former midfielder Mikel Arteta. Arteta spent the 2017-2018 season as second in command to Pep Guardiola at Manchester City in what was a title-winning campaign with a record points haul. It is understood Arsenal wish to have the new manager in place before the start of Russia World Cup on June 14. And lastly, in the world of sports, Italy goalkeeper Gianluigi Buffon will play his final game for Juventus on Saturday after 17 years with the club. The World Cup winner will lift his 9th Serie A title against Hellas Verona at the Allianz Stadium. Buffon said he changed his mind about retiring 15 days ago and has received job offers on and off the pitch. Buffon's facing UEFA ban for comments made about English referee Michael Oliver, who sent him off during the Champions League quarter-final defeat by Real Madrid last month. Buffon has captained Juventus to a 7th straight Serie A title and 4th consecutive Coppa Italia triumph this season. And that's it on Sport News. The rest of the news continues shortly. Thanks so much for watching.
We shall now serve you the weather forecast for Friday. Every success is usually an admission ticket to a new set of decisions. And just before we go on the news, let's quickly remind you of our top stories. The Ogun State government has intensified surveillance in border areas to prevent incidents of Ebola scourge. The federal government has introduced biometric registration to address farmers' herdsmen crisis. Burundians are voting in referendum to extend president's rule till 2034. The Nigerian crude oil has hit $80 per barrel for the first time since 2014. And in the world of sport, we said the British Museum has turned Salah's record-breaking boots to exhibit. And that's it on the main news for today. Many thanks to you for watching and goodbye.